Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to communicate. Hello and good morning to you. Your attention got it for a second, I gabbed, didn't it? I know I might have sounded a little corny to some, maybe funny to others, a little unprofessional to a few of you guys, but either way, I got your attention, right? All right, that being said, let's get started. Quick show of hands. How many of you feel that there are open, clear lines of communication at work and that they're important? No, let's not say they're important. Let's say they're essential for you to do a good job. Am I right? Wow. By the show of hands, I can see many of you obviously feel the same. And that's good. And you're right. So let's get started. Now, for the first couple minutes, I have to ask you guys to please excuse me here. I just went through a recent surgery. I'm going to be spending a lot of time just seated here on this stool. I'll be running a presentation program behind me, but I'm not going to address it as much as I'm going to address you. All right, so for right now, I want everyone to take out your cell phones, put them on vibrate. If I look around, I notice you're spending more time looking at your phone than you are looking at me. I can assure you, you'll get noticed. And I might ask you to come up here and even communicate with me so we can work on our better lines of communication. Now, before we really get rolling, let's start off by having everybody stand up, stretch, yawn, take out a drink of your coffee, tea, pop, water, or whatever it is you have. All right, now while you're still standing, just take a second to introduce yourself to whom you're standing around if you don't already know. All right, good. Okay, now everyone, let's take our seats and we'll get the ball in the court. Now, during my time here with you, I will have a presentation highlighting the points of what we're going to be covering and going over again. I want to spend more time interacting with you, though. Like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time addressing the screen behind me. I know what it says. I developed it. I'm just going to use it as a point of reference in case we get off track or someone has to leave and come back for those coming in a little bit late. So feel free to raise your hand, grab my attention at any point if there's something you want to ask, because our time here is short and I will be going at a quick pace. I want to start off by introducing myself. My name is Jim Krampits. I'm a professional communication specialist, or otherwise known as just a communication specialist. Now, what that means in English is that I'm someone who helps you improve the flow of information at your workplace, communicate with each other. What I help with is making sure that you're communicating everything that needs to be said to everyone who needs to know. Now, today I know that our time is limited, and we'll be covering a lot of areas. The areas we're going to start with cover problems from the lack of communication, the cause of a lack of communication, the solutions to communicate better, and basically that's just about all the points we're going to cover. I've helped many different organizations, like those of some of your competitors, for example, Dan's Excavating, Posen, Detroit Edison, Consumers Energy. I've been helping businesses like these for over 12 years now improve their workplace communication and their flow of information, which in all kinds of different areas like those, safety, efficiency, and effectiveness, can prove to be quite useful when you have better lines of communication. I have a personal mantra that the lack of communication is the killer of all things. When lines of communication are not used, failure is going to be a problem that we're going to suffer. So I'm sure everyone in this room has at some point uttered the phrase, "Why didn't somebody tell me or ask me? I could have helped." Back here on the screen behind me, like I said, you'll see, we're going to cover the problems that come from a lack of communication. A few of those points are going to be catastrophic failures, safety risks and endanger your coworkers, OSHA violations, Michigan Department of Transportation violations and fines. Another one of the problems that can be developed from having poor communications is low morale. When people are dealing with intense emotions and issues, they tend to spend more time than normal dwelling on emotional management. Their productivity goes down and morale is replaced by a sense of relief or of making it through the day, or they feel like they're in workplace survival mode. It can be a real problem when you're in business. When relationships are wounded and there's no repair, trust seems to go out the window. It makes it difficult to work together, to meet your deadlines, and when people miss deadlines, as you all know, I'm sure you start to feel bad about your performance. It's a vicious cycle that can hinder teams and businesses from reaching their true potential and hurt your organization. Another problem that can come from it is unmet expectations. At times, there are teams that are going to miss deadlines. Clients are going to miss their appointments, and people aren't always going to do a project as they seem to do what they would if they knew what their roles were when there's a lack of communication involved. Some employees have trouble figuring out what their priorities should be. Often they'll choose to do the wrong thing and end up disappointing their bosses or supervisors. Without clear and communicated expectations of priorities, it's impossible to know where to start and how to complete a project efficiently. Dissatisfied clients is another thing that can happen. I mean, you'll be out on the job site with customers and they might get upset. They might not be happy because you're not conveying the message the way you should be, or your lines of communication are bad for whatever reason. I mean, you'll miss a deadline, you're late for an appointment. At that time, even your superiors can get frustrated and stressed out, but so do your clients. If your client was counting on a phone service to begin before its grand opening and your installation team missed the deadline, your client would be out of money. If your legal team is not fully prepared to present a case in court and is winging it in the last minute, the ruling might not be in your client's favor. When nursing staff misses a deadline, it could mean a patient doesn't receive their medication or get what they need on time. Other things that the causes of lack of communications are, let's just put it this way, communication is a fact of life, especially in the workplace or on the job site. Where any teamwork or technology are working together, it's becoming more and more increasingly common. For a business to thrive and meet their deadlines and exceed their goals, they have to have solid communication systems, and relationships have to be in place. When communications break down, so does the job site, so does the business. When stress and unmet conditions and low morale, dissatisfied clients and all that kind of thing comes into effect, workplace communications will be poor, and it's going to be the root of the problem. It's going to be that lack of communication. But there's good news. There's hope at the end of the tunnel. There are good communication causes, a sense of sustainability and predictability. There's a lot of different solutions that we can start with. For instance, if you're in a meeting, you could take meeting minutes. Someone should be in there documenting everything that's going on, creating a format for how those minutes should be recorded and reviewed, distributed. The format you should use includes, like a name of everybody who's there, what you guys went over, who's responsible for it, who's going to make sure that the deadlines are met, and the follow-up actions for everything that happened during the meeting. Another solution is project updates. It's much like establishing some guidelines for documenting meetings, outcome development, a system for department heads to regularly provide scheduled project updates. It doesn't have to be a time-consuming process, but the bullet points in the updated distributed department can make sure that everyone is on the same page with their expectations. Email makes it a great strategy, and it makes it easy to implement. Another thing that can help as a solution is the chain of command. Establishing a clear chain of command and corporate policies for how to distribute communications breakdowns, or it can be handled using any approach. But if there's a difference of opinion on who is responsible for a given task, the approach or timeline or decision maker is on board to iron out the issue. Excuse me there, I got to stretch my legs, get a little tough after sitting around for this long. If communication lines and improving communication in your workplace, you can have different things that impact your stress levels, deadlines, morale, the health, and the bottom line of the business can be negatively affected, but the good line of communication can have a positive and healing effect even on the business. I want to ask that the managerial staff, this includes the foremen and supervisors, try to write out a job description, the project descriptions, and clearly check in on people on how things are going. Make use of the emails and messages and texting apps as best as you can. Try and treat others in the job site with the same respect that you hope for in return. Try and give that same level of professional courtesy that you want from your superiors to your underlings. Try even create a written list of priorities for the times when there's more work than you have time in the day. Try to even set aside time each week to directly address workplace concerns and brainstorm some solutions with them. In the end, you can also try setting clear communication policies. One way to combat miscommunication that leads to conflict is to establish clear communication policies for your business. One of those policies just could be, just having a setup where you talk to each other and say, hey, listen, we got a policy that always says if there's a problem between the two of you guys, we're going to sit down, we're going to figure out where the line of communications broke down, and we're going to come up with a better way to solve it. Now, I know our time here today has been brief. So before we start to wrap things up for today, I want to take the time to address any issues some of you may have. Now, I'll be around for a little while after the seminar ends. If anyone has any questions, or they're perhaps shy or embarrassed to ask out loud, I'll be available afterwards. You can email me, you can text me with any questions. You'll find my contact information inside the informational packets that we gave out at the staff door before you came in. If so, you were not given any of those, please let the staff members know, or myself, and we'll make sure you get an informational packet. Thanks so much for seeing you guys. Thanks for coming in today. It was great seeing you.